Tena Tinabo Kalazive. Very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Daily Service Delivery Gauge on SABC 1 via SABC News. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Ikamalam Ndingu Criselda Lewis.
And I'm your host Mxolisi Masango. Now joining us as our sign language interpreter namhlanje is uNonhlanhla Nyovane. Sinibingelele nonke ke makhaya siyajabula futhi ke ukuba nani kulolu hlelo lethu lapho sobe sihlaziya ezokhetho phambi kokhetho lomasipala scheduled for the 1st of November. Now you should know this by now on day 2. This is your show and we encourage you to interact with us on all of our social media platforms. You can tweet us on @SABC News using #SDGauge, #SABC News, and you can also send us your WhatsApp voice notes and video clips to 083 272 8341. This is the Tuesday edition of the Service Delivery Gauge, and with that we say, welcome to it.
And this is where we start the program. Almost 100,000 contestants will be taking part in the upcoming local government elections on November the 1st. So this is an increase of over 30,000 from the last municipal polls in 2016. So this year, 26.2 million South Africans have registered to vote in this year's elections, with 55% of that being women. Let's take a look.
South Africa's local government elections take place every 5 years. This is where issues of service delivery are thrust into the spotlight. And many South Africans have expressed frustrations with many municipalities' failure to provide even the most basic services. Analysts say this may have contributed to more people throwing their names in the hat to lead at the municipal level. In 2016, 26 million people registered to vote, with special vote application at 740,000. In the last local government elections, the number of candidates contesting the elections reached 63,654. That number has increased by over 35,000 for this year, with a total of 99,116 candidates contesting the elections.
The number reflects positively on the work of the Municipal Demarcation Board, which adjusted a number of wards in various municipalities, which these candidates are contesting in. It reflects positively on the upward adjustment of the voters' roll, where we saw that there are a number of new entrants, young people who have registered to vote. It reflects that we have a significant number of children born after 2000 who are not only voting, but are being voted for in these elections.
After 2016, several new political formations emerged, and the number of independent candidates has also increased dramatically. 5 years ago, over 800 independent candidates participated in the municipal elections, while the number has doubled this year. All these candidates are eyeing only 10,000 positions, which are available in all the municipalities across the country.
Independent candidates are important because they are outside of the constraints of political party deployment. The issues that they raise are not determined by the deployment committees of the political parties, and hence they are likely to attract sufficient votes to change the landscape of municipal councils that we see.
South Africa has around 278 municipalities, 8 metros, 44 voting districts, and 226 local municipalities. This year, 225 political parties are taking part in the local government elections.
The electorate is disappointed by major political parties, who most of them were given an opportunity to rule in coalitions in different major municipalities across the country, but that opportunities they have squandered. So independent candidates, if voted into office, are likely to bring a new voice in municipalities in a manner that balances the power of political parties.
coalition governments dominated after the last local government elections, but they also brought their own challenges when it comes to collaborative governance. And if independent candidates fare better in this year's elections, they too can bring a new dynamic to coalition governments. Ntlanhla Khatlani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Singena kuzolusha ke manje. This year's local government elections have seen an increased number of independent candidates contesting for wards. Now, among them are young people who believe that they can be the change their communities need. Ababikindaba bethu bala SABC uNosipho Gqeberha, Anka North Nahel and Vanessa Gwinana met with a young independent candidate in Soweto. Here's the story.
The youth should stand tall and take these kind of opportunities, because this is the time whereby the youth should show their strength.
31-year-old Gqeberha, leading by example. Sticks, as he's affectionately known, is running for Ward 22, which consists of some parts of Pimville and Klipspruit.
You can't keep people in the dark for a year. Does not make sense, my brother. Crime has escalated. There's now rapes, there's now hijackings. It's dark.
Just 3 months ago, SABC journalists Maheketla Mohlabi and Ronewa Musandiwa spent a bitterly cold and dark evening with Gqeberha and other residents who informed them of the community's challenges. Contesting in this year's elections was the only option.
What made me run is that I was sick and tired of seeing, our community getting messed up. The developments, the progress within the community, lack of service delivery, our electricity problems, economic development, as I mentioned, unemployment is high. So those are the kind of things that made me stand to actually say that I want to fight for my community. I'm not a politician, I'm just a businessman that cares a lot about the community. I'm very passionate about my community and I love my community.
Power and water outages, cable theft and poor infrastructure are just some of the issues the community faces. Malebo claims that the current leadership does not care.
A lot of times we've been finding ourselves confronting the councillor with the poor service delivery, and she's never said anything. The only thing that she said to us was she doesn't care. So those are the kind of challenges that we meet with our current councillor.
Malebo's campaign trail has come with its challenges. His age, inexperience and efforts to curb gangsterism in the area has received some pushback.
Our elderly, have no faith within young people because of the kind of opportunities that are within society. It's very rare to find leadership like us that is fighting for a good cause, that is very active within the community.
Even threats to his life are not enough to deter the young candidate.
I want to inspire the youth and encourage the youth and also empower them to say, this is our time, let us stand tall.
For the daily service delivery gauge, I'm Nosipho Gqeberha in Pimville, Soweto.
Thank you very much to SABC News reporter Nosipho Gqeberha. So there are over 99,000 candidates for this year's local government elections. So this figure far surpasses candidates in the last municipal poll in 2016, which stood at 63,718. SABC News specialist researcher Maswele Ralibona joins me now live in studio. Very good afternoon to you, Maswele. Thanks again for joining us on the program. This is quite a staggering figure. Such a huge increase. Talk us through these figures.
Thank you, Griselda. An extensive increase given the previous elections in 2016. But I think this is because of the number of political parties that keeps on entering the IEC system. Currently, we are looking at the proportional representatives in which there are 4,937 seats up for grabs.
Yeah.
The IEC registered 35,707 candidates for these 4.9 seats. And then when you look at the wards, currently we've got 4,468 wards. Candidates, 63,409. These candidates includes others from the political parties and the rest from, and about 1,718 which are independents, which means these ones are not linked to any political party. Political parties in the IEC system that raise their hands to say we are contesting these elections, we are talking about 325 of them. which is the biggest the country has ever seen since the beginning of these elections. Given what happened in 2016, right now, the male candidates or people who are occupying positions in the municipalities, we've got 67.95%, and female 32.05%. Only four of these, this is very disappointing.
Are young people?
Only 4 of these are currently young people between the ages of 20 and 29 who are representing us in the local government municipalities. On top of this, given the elections that are going to take place, only 3 political parties, which is in the rest of the country, only 3 political parties are going to contest all the wards, which is the ANC, the DA, and the EFF.
Only 4 of these young people. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, especially with young people saying that they want to enter the fray when it comes to leading, whether it's, becoming councillors or shaping basically what young people would want to see in terms of service delivery. SABC News specialist researcher Maswale Ralibone, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, there are mixed emotions from young people in Gqeberha on whether or not they're going to take part in this year's local government elections. A majority of young people interviewed expressed their lack of desire to vote. So what they're citing is poor service delivery, high youth unemployment, and a general disinterest in politics.
I'm not confident in voting. I won't vote because I don't see anything that changes. It doesn't change anything going to a ballot paper and putting someone else and making that someone get richer and all that. No.
Frustrated and anti-anything political, 30-year-old Abongile Dukumbana lives in the shack with his 6 siblings. After being retrenched last year due to his company closing down as a result of COVID-19, he was forced to move back home. No one works in this household. Abongile sleeps on the floor while 6 of his siblings share one bed. He says voting is a waste of time.
But no, nothing has changed, and of which I'm not happy with the situation that we're living, because as people, we're supposed to benefit from this democratic country, because we were promised that better life for all, but there's no better life. It's only few that benefit from that. What about the majority of us? We don't benefit anything. We're left out. No employment, no proper shelter, no proper health care. And what we have to do? We have to keep on voting to make people rich, become more rich, while us become poor. So I'm not confident in voting. I won't vote.
Of the 26.2 million registered voters presently, those between 18 and 21 years make up 17.5%. According to the Electoral Commission, for the 2016 local government elections, 71% of those registered aged between 18 and 19 turned up to vote, while 50% of those between 20 and 29 cast a ballot.
We find in our research that young people will say, yes, it is my civic duty as a citizen to vote, but there is also a very deep sentiment that argues and says, but why vote? I've wasted my vote. Nothing changes. My life hasn't gotten better. My vote, what I expected from my vote, didn't actually materialize. So why will I go out and do that again?
While South Africa's unemployment rate is at 34.4%, youth unemployment for those aged 15 to 24 as of April 21 was 64.4%. This and many other factors have left young people with mixed views about this year's elections.
There's really been no change, and not only in our country but also with the people who are in leadership. So as soon as those people change, maybe they add more youth people, because they will be relating to the stuff that we actually need and relating to our problems. So until that happens, until when I see more faces of the youth in that parliament, then I'm not going to be voting.
You know, I don't know how I feel about voting, because I feel like even if you do vote, it doesn't make a difference.
Yes, I am going to be voting. I believe that if we want to see change, then the youth have to be a part of it. We can't sit back and watch it happen and complain about things not changing if we aren't going to take part in it.
Analysts believe political parties have a lot of work to do to convince the youth to vote. Showing them the value of their votes through rendered services that are beneficial to the youth is seen as key. Lerato Fekisi, SABC News, Gqeberha.
Okay, so at the back of that insert, we need to catch up with SABC News reporter in Gqeberha, Lerato Fekisi. She now joins us on the line. Now, Lerato, a very warm welcome to the show. It's great to have you. So we see that there's some youth issues right at the forefront there in Gqeberha. Tell us more. And of course, we look at some graphics before we get into that. Gqeberha is a city on Algoa Bay in the Eastern Cape province. Now, the city falls under the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality. The current mayor is Ngaba Banga from the Democratic Alliance. The metro has 60 wards. Now we go to that interview with our reporter Lerato Fekisi, and she has more for us. Lerato, you have some young people there for us. Talk to us.
Yes, I've got some young people here who I'm going to let them speak for themselves because, like you said earlier on in the insert, people, especially young people here in the metro, have got mixed views concerning whether they're going to vote or not in this year's elections. There are some police who are saying, of course I'm going to vote, why not? I have got to vote because it counts. And then there are those who are saying, I don't even care because I'm not even fazed by what's happening in the political sphere. But let me talk first to Thomas, who's a young person here, and hear his views about this year's elections. Thomas, first, are you going to vote, and why do you think it's important for you as a young person to cast your vote?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question, Lerato. I'm definitely going to vote. Elections are a great equalizer. The wealthy, the poor, the educated, the uneducated have an equal saying on that particular day. And I, as a young person, I feel it's my responsibility. I know the cliche, I mean, it's an old age cliche that you're voting for your future. And that's the truth. We are voting for our reality. We are voting for our future. I don't think I'll be voting necessarily on legacy lines. I think legacy lines are important in our history books in terms of our remembering, absolutely. But when it comes to the day-to-day issues, legacy is not going to change my day-to-day bread and butter issues. And so it is important. Politicians are there to serve us. I think sometimes it seems as though they are VIPs because they've got a security detail or they've got blue lights or they've got great followers. But come election times, they coming to us, they knocking at our doors. And that's the reality, is that if I see a politician or a statesperson as my servant, they're my client or they are our clients, then I think...
Sorry, just to break you quickly. Let me just quickly go to our second guest. I've got to make him speak as well. Brendan, you're casting your vote. What are you voting for this year and why?
Yeah, I have to vote this year. I think as a young person, we're always looking for something to align with, something to a common goal. And I think when you're thinking as a politician, you ask yourself, I'm not a politician, but I'm asking politicians in the metro, when are you going to come to a point where what you're fighting for and what you are driving for doesn't only occur in terms, but really comes across in a 12-month cycle? We are tired and sick and tired of seeing, just popping and popping out. We need something more permanent and we need something more stronger.
Those two young people saying that they need something more permanent, something more stronger, and beyond just the legacy, they want to make sure that those who come into power deliver on their promises. Let's go back to in studio.
Thank you very much, Lerato Fekisi, our reporter there, joining us live from Gqeberha. We are now joined in studio by academic, politics researcher and winner of Season 8 of One Day Leader, Vusi Gumbi. Vusi, at the back of that insert, it's shocking. Why don't we see young people taking charge of the elections?
Well, the answer is contextual, really, because we do have a number of young people who are active in politics, but a significant number who are not. This is because the South African youth is divided into two. You've got, your students, your future policy makers and bureaucrats of the country who believe that they've got a stake in the future of South Africa. Therefore, they encourage their fellow young people to play a role in South African politics. However, the majority are the disenfranchised, those who are disengaged in our politics, those who feel that they are not represented in South African politics. That's why they'll often say, it's a futile exercise to vote because one, we don't get anything out of it, and even if when we don't, there are no accountability and transparency mechanisms, which also point out to the fact that there's a lack of knowledge of electoral systems education and the importance of the ballot.
Now, you know, when we're on the ground, we've been on the ground, we have our researchers and, you know, reporters touching base with everyone on the ground. There's a genuine sense of young voter apathy, and it relates to those bread and butter issues by the youth saying we don't see a need to register. You know, we're starving, we don't have jobs. Where do you think we got it wrong?
One, it's lack of understanding of the ballot. Right, I make a reference to Zambia, with the recent elections where the Zambians said to Edgar Lungu, we gave you a mandate, we felt that you did not serve us, and then accordingly they voted him out. And we've seen it again in the United States. You know, I think it's a perfect example of where you want to compare when people are not satisfied with a particular administration. That's not something South Africans have got a hang of. You know, there's not something that they understand. Once you're not satisfied about something, the best form of protest is going to the polls in your numbers and vote. And I don't think that South Africa, I think that's a stumbling block in ensuring that our democracy matures, because as the specialist researcher Masole said, that now we've got a record number of independent candidates. On one side, that shows us that people on the ground are aware, because the large number of independent candidates, the record number of political parties, says people on the ground are aware that there's voter apathy. It means that there are, young votes up for grabs in these elections.
Vusikumbi, thank you so much for your time on the Daily Service Delivery Gauge. We appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. Now, of course, we did encourage you there at home to participate on our discussions today, and we asked you to please send us all your views on our WhatsApp as well as the Twitter page. That's #SDGauge as well as #SABC News. It's time now to touch base, Criselda, with what some of our viewers have been saying on the question we asked.
Let's take a look, Ngale. Thank you very much for getting in touch with us. You're saying matters of poor South Africans, but won't be seen by poor South Africans. That's why SABC News is bringing you this program, both on SABC 1, terrestrial channels, as well as on channel 404.
Yes, let's go to the next tweet now. And of course, we did say that it's #SABC News, #SDGauge, #SADecides2021. It looks like our screen does not want to bring in the next tweet, Criselda. And of course, you know, there's a genuine sense of young voter apathy. It seems like Section 16 says it's insane.
Insane, referring to the number, the increase in the number of people who are obviously participating in this election. G9 says more people have realized politics is an easier job than the normal 9 to 5. Wonke umuntu ufuna ukuba yi-council.
Yeesh, wonke umuntu ufuna ukuba yi-politician. Ella says our municipality Emfuleni is very bad. They don't care about us. It's been 3 months now. We still don't have electricity. The roads, sewage, nothing is going well in this municipality. Oof.
Well, I guess let's take a look at another one. Vivamud says voter education needed on what municipalities authorized to do and what is provincial authorized to do. Absolutely, you need that synergy between the different spheres of government and how they come together and actually get the job done. Service delivery.
I'm just so glad that our viewers could send us their tweets and there was no blackout for that.
Absolutely, guys. That's all we have time for this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us on the Daily Service Delivery Gauge. We'll see you again tomorrow. What time, Mklo?
It's 4:30. I'm Gqeberha Masango.
And I'm Criselda Lewis.
Take care.